The learning that we do is about today. You learn a lot. Like textbook learning, you have the points and the certain paragraphs that you memorize, but with this, you understand how all the pieces fall together.
Technology is becoming a bigger part of our lives, and I like this much better than the textbook, I think, because it's more interactive. Like you're choosing your own path and, like diagrams, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So
it was a really cool experience because you get a different view of the learning.
It's a lot easier than just looking at a piece of paper, not just reading about it.
Definitely helps learning, and hearing it or reading it is one thing, but being able to see how much the landscape changes and how just even the littlest thing can change it and help in some way is really cool, and it definitely brought a bigger understanding.
Yeah, this is actually really good for kids with disabilities because it's more of a hand-on project. Myself, I have dyslexia. So working on this from a textbook, it's just hands-on and it's just so much easier instead of reading.
It's a lot of fun and you learn lots.
I think it'd be very beneficial for our generation.
This is a really good program. Well, I learned the significance of one thing affecting another.
When you look at ecosystems like this, one little change can have a mass effect on how everything comes together. So if I learn about watersheds, I learn about the glaciers that created the mountains, so everything would flow together. And the lakes, I learn how long it takes for them to flip over, or how the farming will affect our water systems.
It is really hard to get the wetlands back at first, and it takes you can't just have the wetlands, you need the other areas like forests and stuff in order to sustain it. And when it gets sustained, not only does it bring your fish habitat back, it also brought my grizzly bear habitat back.
I think I gained a greater understanding about the difficulty to bring back some aspects of the environment.
I did not think that wetlands and grasslands would have an effect on the grizzly bears.
It helped me notice that we actually do need to change something, because in 30 years, if we don't change something, then we're not going to have anything left.
So if the grizzly habitat is extinct, the fish population will just hit the roofs. I found a solution to it so far. It's working pretty well, actually.
It doesn't just change one thing, it's a huge multi-reaction.
I didn't realize that we've taken away so much from it, the environment, and how hard it is to get it back.
We need to jump with both feet in.
We can see what we can do in our own province to help us understand how we can change, how we can improve our practices in our own communities.
I get to be a part of the BC simulator, and I get to experience that and try it, especially in our area. It's definitely going to pull at the heartstrings.
I think it'll open up a lot of people's eyes as of what will happen if we don't take a change.
Mr. Ramsey has this thing that we call earth science-itis, and whenever you look out the window, you see changes in the atmosphere or the layers of clouds.
After doing this, I kind of sparked an interest in the environment and helping out, doing stuff to improve our practices in the environment and help nature.
I've also really been passionate about journalism and traveling, and if I could somehow incorporate awareness or change into my writing, I think that'd be a really great way of letting people know.
Oh, I think it could be a possible career.
I am definitely thinking about taking earth science and geology farther into my university and getting to know the areas better and figuring out what we can do to help where we live.
Maybe use this technology to help us further our knowledge about the environment and even socioeconomics, see if we can have a balance in between both and get what we want, but also give the environment benefits.
But I think this has inspired people to sort of see maybe other ways they can pursue education. And I have found this to be a real vital tool for a lot of students that don't basically learn so well from a textbook. This is able to expose them to a whole other way of learning. And it is going to be their world. So it's nice for them to get engaged and shine in something that maybe they don't sometimes shine in a test or in an essay. They can shine in this, and it's actually probably more beneficial.
This time I was able to run the simulator and the program with 2 classes, whereas our first run was just with 1 class, and I really noticed how effective it is as a learning tool. The kids were commenting how the landscape had changed. They can see all the connections now, or lots of the connections. They can understand how water moves, and then they would come here to socials, and now they're applying it to policy. I realize how more effective it's going to be when we have a BC version. We can show, and for me it's going to be a fairly seamless transition to put a watershed-based simulator into an earth science program. And it's also extremely effective. It really is effective in socials.
Yeah. Well, with socials, our main focus here was we have some literature tools that we're using, some resources, and so we get into reading and then doing questions and things which they're used to. But then when we launch into the simulator, like you're saying, what ends up happening? Our goal was sustainability, but instead of reading about it, now we get to actually do it. Right? It was students were manipulating their areas in the Alberta Tomorrow simulator, and now they're going to be able, when they can do it with the Shuswap, it's going to be really exciting, because now it'll be their backyard, and they'll be able to take the Shuswap and say, okay, how do I make this more sustainable? What do we have to do here? And that's what they want to see. I was able to use the simulator more than I was last time, because I have 2 classes as well. So that was a lot of fun. And with the civics class, you're talking about policy. That's what was interesting, is they're learning about government in that class, so they were able to take it the next step and say, what does government have to do? And this can be really hard. We need more than 30 years. The simulator goes up to 2047. They're going, we're not going to be able to do what we want.
Yeah.
We're going to have to
We have to look farther.
Into the future.
And it seems easier to collaborate.
Yes.
And to have the other courses brought in here, to have the other subjects, to show how biology ties in here.
Yeah.
And I think the effectiveness of I know the new curriculum, the redesigned curriculum, wants to bring subjects together, and how effective this is for a teacher, for a science guy to come in and share on occasion. We can look after each other's classes, and I can share a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
The opportunities for this, where we don't have to spend all kinds of time trying to recreate stuff, the tool there, and it's so engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. The kids, they go from, it doesn't take us time at all to bring the subject to life, where they just dial right in there, and they're not bored. They're into it. They want to get going.
Like we talked about, there's actually more discussion. They're on the computers, and you think that they're just zoned into their own little part of the program, but actually what's happening is there's lots of sideways discussions going on all the time. And we saw that when they were being interviewed, but we see that when they're making their plans, they're leaning over and looking at somebody else's plan and going, what did you do there?
Yeah.
And how did you do that? And that's how things come to life, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's really powerful, and we've come a long way in since our first experience, and now as we program and getting into BC, it's really
We're
exciting.
almost running 100 students through this right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at least.
and we'll be doing the same thing next semester.
Right, and so that would be 200 students in one calendar year, and then that's just in our school.
Yeah.
And you imagine all the other schools, all the other watersheds, all doing it.
Well,
We're going to show everybody how to do it. It's great.
And next year, I'm going to be running every social studies class through this program, and it runs itself.
Yeah, it runs
I mean,
itself.
as a teacher, all that front end work you guys have done as a teacher, it's just wonderful. Once we get them up and running for the first week, they take off for the next 2 weeks
Right.
and just.
They really engage in their own learning.
Yeah, exactly. You really are just facilitating and answering the odd question and walking around and watching what they're doing, and it's fun.
Yeah, and those subjects that we try to bring to life as best we can, they do it on their own.
Yeah. The other fun part of it is that they say, okay, I can't achieve what I want. What would it
trade-offs.
take? what would it take, the trade-offs, what would it take? So they start flooding the area, or they start adding so much forest that it takes the GDP down. So then they're saying, hold it, that's not the right balance. I can't do that.
No.
But that's the
practical.
learning. That's the learning part of it. So.
Yeah, and these guys they're going to take ownership. I see them wanting to go farther. Where to from here do they want to go?
Yeah.
They would like to look at policy options
And
or
and
career options,
They're saying, hey,
further schooling options.
what would it take for me to do a job that involves this? Right.
Yeah.
So that's where they're taking it. So that's good.
It's good. And social responsibility too. We're finding, we have we can talk about social responsibility. We have a responsibility to the future.
Yeah.
British Columbia's future is in your hands. See what you can do.